Hey guys,
Hey.
¿cómo están? Otro episodio con sus lloronas y chingonas.
Yes, preferidas.
Yes, this is Edith.
This is Yesi.
How you been, Yesi?
I have been doing great. I think I did. Um, I've been doing a lot of reflecting on like just my life and where I like came from and all the things that I've been able to achieve. And even though I don't think about them every day, I think I've definitely taken the time to really like sit down and be like, girl, like you are living in what you wished for. And I think I said that before, but I think like I have been taking a lot of time to be present and be grateful for the house that I have, for the food that I eat, for my health, for my job that I love, for the free time that I get, for all the things like that I've been doing recently. And I just feel really happy with it. So I'm doing really good and I'm really excited for stuff. So
That feels very, very nice. I feel like everyone deserves like a little stop moment to think of, like have a reflection. Because I feel like sometimes we can be so hard on ourselves and be like, oh no, I have to do this and this and that. Like, girl, chill down. Like, calm down. Like, look at yourself. You have a roof, you have food, you have a job, you have all of these things. You're healthy, and if you're not, you're getting
healthy.
You're getting healthy. Like all of these things.
One more thing though, I finally launched my journal and apparel business online, casadiosaco.com. I'll put the link on the description as well. And I do have a 10% off code for our Llorona Pero Chingona's Pod listeners. That will be LPC, all capitalized 10. No spaces or anything. It's just LPC 10, and you'll get 10% off your whole
purchase.
Your whole purchase.
Go make your purchases. Oh my gosh, she has some really cute journals and some sweaters, some hats, some everything. Go buy your Christmas presents already.
Oh yeah, go buy your Christmas presents.
Well, I'm so happy to like look at her. Who is she?
Look at me.
Not
I'll
only
podcast and another business. Yeah. So I'm very excited. But how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing really, really good. It's been a crazy week. I don't know if I mentioned, but my siblings and I, we've been remodeling our childhood home, and we're finally slowly like moving in already. Gracias a Dios, porque oh my goodness, it's been like a whole roller coaster. But now we're on the other side. We're having a little celebration. Like what every Hispanic says, ay, una comidita.
Oh, sí, una comidita.
We're having a little celebration for my brother, our producer, for his 21st birthday and his graduation, because he graduated last month and his birthday was last month, but we didn't really get to celebrate him and like party with him in the way that he deserves, because it's another first gen out there who's making it, getting a degree.
Yeah, he is.
Getting older. No, but yeah, so that's pretty much an update with me. I'm really excited for today's episode.
I know.
Oh my goodness, guys. Y'all have no idea. We brought hasta los cristales y todo, porque we are like, I don't know about you, but I'm nervous about interviewing this individual because she's a badass. Like,
she is a badass.
She's a true chingona, and she's going to talk about why she's a chingona and everything. And I hope after this episode, I want you guys to go back and be like, yes, she was a chingona, or yes, she's a chingona.
Yes.
But she is a true inspiration. She's amazing. She's a first gen, making it out there, representing our Latino community. And I hope you guys enjoy her, like our conversation that we have with her. She's gonna talking about law and about how she got there and everything. But do you have anything to add before we introduce our guest for today?
Well, I mean, I kind of just want to be like her when I grow up.
Yo también. Yo también. I'm just gonna be like,
like she's just such a badass.
Can you tell me how to be like you? But yet again, I love watching like criminal shows and like law and all of that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I will want to be. I'm such a crybaby. Like, I just feel like going up there and representing someone, I'll be like stuttering, like, él no lo hizo. no lo hizo.
Yeah, or like crying like, sí, señor juez, sí. Yeah, I don't know that I'd be able to, because that would be me. I feel like I would get yelled at all the time, and like lloro por todo. So yeah, but I'm so excited for you guys to learn more about her and stuff. So yeah.
Well, let's bring on our guest. Her name is Abogada Tayrin, and hope you enjoy our conversation with her.
Yeah. Desde pequeñita, living in a small Texas-Mexico border town, Laredo, she has dreamt of becoming a trial lawyer. She graduated magna cum laude from the University of the Incarnate Word in 2006 with a Bachelor of Arts in Theater Arts, en donde aprendió cómo utilizar su voz. She then graduated from UT School of Law and became an assistant district attorney in Laredo, Texas for 3 years. As a bilingual prosecutor, she represented the state of Texas in criminal cases such as kidnapping and robbery, to name a few. In 2013, she continued her career in Austin, Texas with the Travis County Attorney's Office and was there until 2022. She became a lead attorney and was then promoted to be a chief prosecutor in one of the Travis County misdemeanor courts. She has 10 plus years working to master DWI laws and has been named the Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Please welcome Abogada Tayrin Cardenas Witt with Cardenas Witt Law.
Yay!
Bienvenida.
Gracias por tenerme.
I got chills just hearing everything you
I
have
was
done.
like, when I was doing my research, I was like, man, she's a badass bitch.
Oh!
Like, sí es una chingona. Oh my goodness.
No me siento chingona,
pero I think that kind of goes into being that first gen, like, imposter syndrome.
Oh, there's imposter syndrome all the time.
Yeah.
That's revolves around my world every single day.
Yeah. But we'll get into that in a bit.
Yeah,
but how are you? Last time we saw you was at the Noti Amigas.
Yeah.
What was it?
The
Expo?
Amigas Hispana Expo. Oh yeah, no, I'm doing great. We have been growing. My firm itself has been growing. I now have 3 employees.
Yeah.
It just started with just me in January, and little by little, we've been growing, and the need for more help has arisen, and I've been able to hire 3 amazing people to work with our office that are also empathetic. They're bilingual, and they're also badasses.
Yeah,
that's important for me. And the cases themselves, like, we've been getting more and more cases and more calls, and it's just really exciting to be able to help the community, especially the Hispanic community.
Yeah,
here in Austin.
I feel that. My biggest dream is to, like, be able to make enough money so I can do, like, my passion, which is, like, being a play therapist. But I want to, like, cater to, like, my Hispanos, but unfortunately a lot of them, don't have the financial means to afford, like, play therapy. So I want to be able to do it at a lower cost for them, and I'm like, I need to make enough passive income for that.
Right.
Definitely. But thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me.
So we're gonna go ahead and jump on with our questions.
Let's do it.
Let's go ahead and start strong.
Okay.
Tayrin, are you a Llorona or a Chingona?
I'm both. I am a Llorona at home on the inside, and then I try to be a Chingona on the outside. So I think that it's hard to just be one, because even a Chingona is going to have her moments of weakness, her moments of defeat, her moments of, I can't do this anymore. Who am I? I'm an imposter, all that. Or just things that, happen in work, or like cases, things like that are just really sad. And so absolutely. I think part of being what makes me a Chingona is my ability to have the empathy that it takes for, for a case to defend people accused of crimes, whether they're innocent or not. And so I carry that a lot with me, but I don't let it show to the public. So if I'm going to be a Llorona, it's definitely going to be behind closed doors. But believe me, it happens. I've even cried in the bathroom in court and then cleaned myself up and pretended like nothing happened. Yes.
Wow.
I've done that.
I think it's amazing that you're, like, a lawyer, because any confrontation that I have, I cry. Like, ¿por qué me estás hablando así?
Sí. Una vez casi lloro en frente de un juez, and I could feel the tears coming. I'm like, no, don't come. But no, I held it in. I was strong. One time I got into a fight with a defense attorney. We were negotiating. It was not in the courtroom, but it was in the courthouse. And he was just going at me hard. And I was a prosecutor. And I remember I stood up and I was like, I'm not going to let him see me cry. I'm not going to let him see me cry. And I went to the bathroom and I cried it out. And then I got out, wiped my tears like nothing happened. I'm sure he noticed a little bit, but I was like, all right, I'm ready to keep going. Let's keep fighting now.
Wow.
Round 2. You gotta get it out so that, get that out of the way. And now I'm not gonna cry anymore. Now I'm strong. Now my mind is clear. And you want to argue? Let's argue.
Yeah. And that's the chingona part, I think. Like, yes, there are gonna be moments of weakness, but it's about getting back up. Like taking your time with it and then getting back up and going back at it. Because that's
absolutely,
it takes a lot.
You have to take your time, your downtime. Like a lot of people want to just, shove it under the rug or sweep it under the rug, but that's not going to help in the long run. You have to feel it. You have to feel your sadness. Have a pity day in bed watching, Lifetime movies and eating ice cream. Have that day, but just be sure to have like an end for it. Whether it's one day, maybe it's 2 days if it's really, really bad. But know that after this, I'm going to get it all out, and then we're going to start fresh.
Yeah, I love that.
Like a little reset. That's definitely.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. So, ¿de dónde vienes? ¿Cuáles son tus raíces?
Ok, bueno, yo nací en México DF y a los 2 años me vine con mi mamá a los Estados Unidos, a Laredo, que es la ciudad donde nació mi mamá y donde vive todo el resto de su familia. Y yo me vine con mi mamá sola. Mi papá, él fue parte de nuestras vidas. Él a los 3 meses, cuando yo tenía 3 meses, él se fue. Y yo no lo conocí hasta que era teenager. Entonces siempre fue mi mamá y yo y la familia de mi mamá. Y entonces crecí mucho en Laredo, en San Antonio. Y también mi mamá es artista. Y ella, she does faux painting and decorating. And so ella fue a la escuela a aprender cómo hacer todo esto y empezamos, y me llevó a mí cada vez que iba. Entonces empezamos por 2 años, estuvimos en California, en San Mateo, ahí afuera de San Francisco, y ahí estuve segundo, tercer año, y luego algo increíble, mi mamá la dejaron entrar a una escuela, la mejor escuela de faux painting en el mundo, que es en Bruselas, en Bélgica. Y la aceptaron y nos fuimos para Bruselas. Entonces estuvimos en Europa 1 año, yo tenía 9 años, estuve ahí, fui a una escuela ahí en inglés, empecé a aprender un poco de francés, ya se me olvidó todo, pero ya empecé y luego nos regresamos, ya que aprendió todo, nos regresamos y el resto de mi juventud fue en San Antonio y en Laredo. Y luego me fui al colegio, que también fueron muchos... there was a lot of bumps in the road to get to where I am. It wasn't like a linear, I'm going to law school, this is where I'm going. There was a lot of, oh, that didn't work. Let's do it somewhere else, a different way.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I guess like whenever you're growing up, I read in your bio where you always dreamt of becoming a lawyer. How did that come about?
I always said when I was little, I didn't even know what it meant, but I said I wanted to be a detective lawyer when I grew up. I had no idea what that meant or how that's not even a thing, either a detective or a lawyer. But I just wanted it. I just thought it was just so cool. I can't really say this is where it came from. It just sounded, I've always been very intrigued by crime and all that, and so it was just something I always wanted to do. And honestly, as I got older, like in high school, I kind of felt like that dream kind of went away a little bit because of imposter syndrome and things like that. I was like, I can't do that. That's just silly. That would never be me, and so I'm going to do something more realistic. And so, but, fate has it. Here I am. And I actually got here. It had some bumps and bruises along the way, some switched majors and things like that. But I got to where I am, and I'm so happy that I did because, I'm doing my dream job. And I couldn't have gotten to where I am without my mother's support and encouragement. Encouragement. I mean, she was the one that when I would say, I can't do this anymore, she's like, nope, get up, you're going. So yeah.
So your mama chingona helped you be a chingona.
My mom is a chingona, and I can say she's much more chingona than Llorona. I'm much more Llorona than she is. At least I don't see it.
Maybe she's like you. Maybe she does it behind the curtain. So that...
she's always protected me for things like that, and so maybe she cries behind the curtain, and when she comes out, she's she's ready to be strong. But yeah, like this could have never happened without my mother pushing me and being by my side.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And I feel like right now that we're talking about where you grew up and everything, I feel like it takes us to our next question, which is your experience as a first gen. You already talked where you came from and a little bit of that, but how was your experience of getting to where you are today?
Well, so my mother, the only college she went to was the art school. I mean, that was really the college. I think she took some like secretary classes back in the day. She has two younger brothers. They were all born in the 50s, and the two younger brothers were the ones that went to college. They went to UT, and my mother always wanted to go to college, but my grandmother would always say, "No, we're saving the money for the boys. You're going to get married. You're going to get married. The money is for the college. Money is for the boys." And she always had this dream of being an architect, and she wanted to do all these things that she never got to do. And so I feel like I'm first gen definitely in my bloodline, with her. And even with my biological father, no college either. And so, but I feel like I really felt like I needed to help my mom kind of not prove herself, but like prove to the world that, single moms can do everything, and I wanted to support her the way she supported me by, doing the best that I can and achieving dreams that, even though they're different than hers, achieving dreams that she never could back in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah. This is so hard though. Like right now that you're talking about saving the money for the boys, I feel like that's something that as a Latino, like, we're very biased of like women that they deserve a career, they deserve this. I feel like when you were talking about it, I'm like, oh,
yeah,
right?
I got a little triggered.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
Me too. I was like,
yeah, and that's the mentality. Now it's totally different, But I am the first gen in my entire family to go beyond college. So I'm the one that, like, I'm the only one that went, to law school or to some other sort of, master's program or anything like that. And so that's pretty great. And I love that because my mom's two brothers, although successful, they also have children. And but their children, some of them went to college, some of them didn't. But actually I think most of them went to college. But I'm the only one that's gone. I'm the lawyer, and I love that because my mom was a single mom. Yeah. And so it's like she didn't need the money to go to college. I still got here and she helped me. And so that's the thing. We just, as women, we just have to fight harder.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's the way it is. We just have to fight harder.
And how is that like for you, like going through school, like knowing, because whenever Edith and I talk about our first gen experience, we talk about like some of the responsibilities that were kind of put on us that maybe, our second generation or third generation don't have to go through, like like translating important documentation for your parents, or even like assimilating into, the schools here, going from, because I went to school in Mexico too. So assimilating here, how was that like for you? How was like college, that transition, and even being a woman in law school, because I feel like it's predominantly males.
Yeah, well, there's a lot to unpack there. So yeah, well, a woman in law school, fortunately, when I went, it was pretty 50-50.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I went to the University of Texas. I graduated in 2009. And there was a lot of women. So at that point, I never felt the pressure of the male versus female. It was like, who's just the best?
Yeah.
Fortunately. What was the question that you asked before that?
Sorry, I know it was a lot of questions. Like assimilation.
Oh yeah. Well, for me, since I moved to the U.S. when I was 2, I basically grew up like an American, and my mother, she and her family were raised in Nuevo Laredo, which is on the Mexican side, but it's right on the border of Texas.
Yeah.
So they were raised with the English language. And so fortunately that wasn't something that I had to do. I didn't have to translate or anything else. I didn't have to assimilate. My family already lived in the United States once we moved here. But I did notice there was a lot of differences because I considered myself, American. And when I would go to school, in some of the schools I went to, some of the communities I went to, they would see me as different, and I didn't understand why I was different. I speak the same as you. I don't understand. I look similar to you. What's going on? And but yeah, so that part has been very difficult, not recently, thank God. But when I was, especially in middle school, that was very, very difficult. I lived in San Antonio. I went to a high school with honestly, with a lot of rich people and rich white people. And I just went in there thinking, oh, these are my new friends, and it was just really, really hard for me to make friends there because I didn't fit in with the Americans, but I didn't fit in with the Mexicans either because I was too Americanized. So I was just kind of like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Now as an adult, it's totally different, but as a 13-year-old, it's the worst.
Yeah, especially because at that time, I think we're really trying to find our community.
Absolutely, and you're growing up. It's just such formative years. So so I was bullied terribly from different people. It wasn't just like one group of people. Like it was like the popular kids, the goths. Like it was just like everybody, and it was just like the boys. I never really understood it. And so after 3 years of being in that school, when I finished 8th grade, I begged my mom to please let's move back to Laredo. It's still the United States, but it's a very Mexican town and everybody is like me, And so then the Mexican part is just kind of like, it's not even a thing there. It's just like, who are you? Like, I don't care where you're from. We're all Mexican, So I did that. And when I went to 9th grade in Laredo, I found my people, and I was like, this is it. Now I can be myself. Now I belong. And I'm still really, really good friends with my high school friends up 20 years later.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. So good. And those are the friends that you want to keep. Like the friends that like have seen you in your worst and then have seen you in your best too. But just one of the things that right now when you were talking about San Antonio, it's crazy to think that you will feel that way in San Antonio because I will imagine that San Antonio it's more of a little bit more diverse because it's a little bit more closer to the border. Not as close as Laredo, but compared to here in Austin, I feel
and it is absolutely. It was just the public school that I went to. Okay. Yeah, that neighborhood was just very, very rich, very white, and not because we were rich. It was just we happened to live in a condo in that area, and I was zoned for that school.
Yeah, I definitely relate to fitting in in your hometown. But even then, I've talked in the podcast before where I kind of felt like in between too, because there was the predominantly Hispanic. I'm from San Benito, really close to the border as well. And it was the kids that were more Americanized that maybe are second, third generation, and then there were the first generation kids like me. But I was always kind of stuck in the middle, so I kind of relate to that experience.
Yeah, going to Laredo for high school, it was because even before that, San Antonio, I was still I was in California, I was in Europe, and even though I had great experiences there where I was accepted, I still wasn't like everybody else.
Yeah.
And so finally got to Laredo, I'm like, oh my God, I'm like everybody else. This is amazing. Now I can be unique. I can stand out and not just be
stand out for the wrong
reason. Stand out for the wrong reason. Stand out for good reason, for my good qualities that before people just thought Mexican, Mexican, but too Americanized.
Yeah.
Americanized Mexican. You don't fit in.
Yeah. So, tell us about your career. What do you do and why, why do you do it?
Okay, well, I am currently a criminal defense attorney here, based in Travis County in Austin. I work on cases all around other counties as well that are close to here. I'm really focusing my practice on the Hispanic community for many reasons, but the main one being that I believe that people that come here that are Hispanic, especially the ones that weren't born here, that don't speak English, it's such a huge, it's scary to be arrested no matter what. It's even scarier to be arrested in a foreign country with a foreign language, with foreign laws, and especially if you yourself are undocumented and your family's undocumented. And so I really want my practice to be focused on being able to treat my clients with respect and dignity, but also a lot of communication. And starting from the beginning, whenever I get a new client in my office, I ask them, how much do I need to explain? Do I need to explain the judicial system to you, or are you okay with that? And we kind of start on the charge itself. And most people are like, I don't even know how the judicial system works. I'm like, all right, let's start from scratch. So that's what I basically teach them that, and then we just go on and talk about the case. And so that's one reason. There was not enough communication, explanation of what's going on. As attorneys, we do this every day. We have our words that we use, we have our acronyms that we use, and so it's very easy to talk to everybody else in the same way and just expect that they understand what we're talking about. And so I recognize that doesn't work. Mm-hmm. And so I definitely make it a point to speak to my clients and their families in a way that they understand until they understand. They might not understand it the first time. I have clients that I explain the same thing 10, 20 times, it's like, all right, let's do it again until you get it. I don't want you to make a decision about your case until you understand, like for real, understand what's going on. Yeah. But anyway, so I'm a defense attorney now, and I was a prosecutor. So I was on the other side for 12 years. And
sorry. So a prosecutor is, you're probably going to have to explain.
Okay. So basically, when you're charged with a crime, there is like three parties. There's the judge, who's like the mediator. That person is going to like be the gatekeeper, like, oh, this comes in, this doesn't come in, and just kind of like the don't fight, like they're the ones that are running the courtroom, but they really have nothing to do with the case itself, until much later. And so the other party is the defense attorney. So it's me and the client and my team. And that's one party. And then the other party is the prosecution. And that's the state of Texas. And they're the ones that are putting the charges on people. They're the ones that are accusing people. Están acusando a las gentes. Y ahora lo que hago yo es que yo las defiendo. Uh-huh. Pero uso todo lo que aprendí como prosecutor, como fiscal, en español es fiscal, para defender a mis clientes. Yo sé, I know when to stop talking. I know who to go to. I know when to not talk to a prosecutor. I know when the offer they're giving me is not good enough. I know when the offer they're giving me is, whoa, that is really good. We got to take that ASAP before they change their minds, And so also I have a lot of trial experience because as a prosecutor, we go to trial a lot. And defense attorneys don't usually get as many trials because they don't have as many cases as prosecutors do. And so like as a prosecutor, I probably have like 1,000 cases. As a defense attorney, I have less than 200, and so it's it's different. So a lot of defense attorneys don't have as much trial experience that I do. Many have a lot of experience, absolutely, but especially like Spanish speaking attorneys. Yeah. And so I want to, I feel like I would be a good person to defend somebody of a crime. If we're a good match, we have to be a good match. They may not like me. I may say, I don't think I can defend this person, just for whatever reason, not necessarily because of the charge, but just for whatever reason. But yeah, so I don't even know where I was going with that, but
the little bit that I know about law is what I see on TV.
Yeah, it's just like that. Yeah, it really is just like that. I mean, not exactly, but like the courtroom, the judge, the jury, the defense, the state, just like Law and Order. I mean, completely not as fast, and it's much more complicated. But it really, the players are the same, the characters are the same.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what made you go from, because it seems like you spent a lot of time in the prosecutor, in the prosecutor position. What kind of changed for you to go into criminal defense?
So for criminal defense, it was something that I always wanted to do since I graduated. I only went to law school to be a criminal attorney. And in my mind, it was a criminal defense attorney. I didn't like any other kinds of law. It was boring, very, very boring. But I had to learn it so I can get to where I am now. And so the first job that I was offered out of law school was to be a prosecutor with the district attorney's office in Webb County in Laredo. And I, of course, took it. And I thought it would be a temporary thing until I kind of figure out the next step. But I just really liked it. I liked the office itself. I liked the people. I liked the way they handle cases. And I also really liked, standing up for victims and talking for those that don't have a voice. And And also just going to court every day and having trials all the time. And also, what's great about working for the government after graduation is that you pretty much only have to do law. I don't have to have a secretary. I mean, I don't pay for a secretary. I don't pay for an investigator. I don't pay for any of that. Like everything, my computer, everything is done. I just show up, do law, and go home. You know, now as a defense attorney, I do everything. You know, and so so that it was very comfortable. It was very comfortable. I moved to Austin in 2013 after being a prosecutor in Laredo for 3 years because, funnily enough, I was married in Laredo to another prosecutor. We met, married, and divorced in those 3 years that I was there. And I always knew that I wanted to come back to Austin. It's where I went to law school. I loved it. My ex-husband never wanted to come back. And so I thought this is my chance to go back. So when I got a divorce, I got a job here. It was a rough time, but I got a job here. I started over, moved myself, my 2 little dogs, and we got our own apartment, and we became a prosecutor in Austin. And it was really awesome because, you know, just a little snippet from my ex-husband, he would always kind of say, like, you're not strong enough to be a prosecutor in a big city. You know, you're fine in Laredo, but in a big city. And so when I was actually there to tell him at the office, like, knock on his door, hey, just so you know, so you don't hear it from somebody else, I'm moving to Austin. I'm going to go be a prosecutor. And it was just like, I was, okay, bye. That was one of the best. That was like the best part of the whole divorce. You know, being able to say that. And he was just like his mouth, jaw dropped open. You know, like bye. You know, and so not only was it a big city, it was like the capital of Texas. You know, very coveted position. So that really was awesome. I came here. I started doing misdemeanors here, which is what I did for the last 9 years. Because in Austin, there's 2 offices of prosecution. There's the county attorney that handles all the misdemeanors, which is mostly like DWIs, assault with not like a lot of injury, thefts, things like that. And then there's the district attorney who handles all the felonies, so all the murders, all the, you know, assaults with you know, serious injury, and, you know, the bad ones, the really, really bad ones. And I actually stayed at the county attorney office the entire time, the entire 9 years I was there, because I really enjoyed it. I loved the office. I've been very lucky in the places that I've worked that I've been very happy there. You know, I've liked the people. I've liked the, you know, the work they do. I like the environment. And so, yeah, I mean, and the thing is, after 4 years of being there, I was promoted to the chief of one of the misdemeanor courts. So I basically ran one of the misdemeanor courts in Travis County with 3 prosecutors under me, paralegals, and like an entire kind of staff. And I was the boss, you know, and that was really awesome. That absolutely helped me to be where I am today, because it gave me the confidence that I needed, that, like, 1, they believe in me to give me this job. 2, the community is seeing what I'm doing and I'm doing a good job, and so they respect me. And also, I learned how to kind of manage employees, how to lead is what I did, you know. And so now that I'm in my own business, I'm able to take that leadership role. It comes easily to me because I've done it before. And so, and also, I feel like in my 9 years that I worked there, I did some good work, and I've managed to keep some really, really good relationships with defense attorneys and judges and other prosecutors. And so that has helped me too. I never even thought about leaving that office until probably about early 2022, when it was time to do something different. I don't know if you guys want me to go into that.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
No, of course. This is all about you. This is all you.
Okay, I'll just keep talking.
I just close this now.
Forget that.
So, speaking of a whole women's issue, I had a baby in when I was 35. She's about to be 5 now. So you can do the math.
I'm not great at it, pero okay.
I'm like, where? ¿Dónde están esos años?
They're in here. I feel them, believe me.
In the knees.
In the knees, in the hangovers. You know, those where you feel it. But yeah, so I had a baby, and I always wanted a baby because I got married again. When I got here, I met the man of my dreams. He's amazing, totally different. So glad I had that previous marriage, because it prepared me for what I really wanted. I thought I wanted passion and craziness, and no, I want somebody who I know loves me and is calm and is stable, and like, oh, that's what I've been looking for this whole time, you know? So incredible, totally different. married him in 2017. We had a wedding in Vegas because we had both already had weddings before, and we're like, you know what, that didn't work, so let's just do something fun.
Wait, did you get married? Was the person like an Elvis?
Well, my husband's Jewish, and so my mother-in-law forbade us from having Elvis marry us.
Oh, man.
So she somehow found a rabbi in Las Vegas to marry us, to go to the little wedding chapel. However, Elvis was present and did sing some songs. Yes, absolutely.
You never said that he wasn't allowed to be here.
Yeah. He was not allowed to marry us, but he will be present. I mean, we have an awesome picture because we had a bunch of friends and family go, and we have a bunch of pictures, and there's Elvis in the front.
I love that. Okay.
So, it was just, we took it a little bit less seriously because it wasn't about the wedding, it was about the marriage. So, so that was great. Within a few months, I got pregnant, which I really wanted. Found out it was a girl. Oh my God, that was like the biggest dream come true. And I was so excited when I was pregnant. I had a difficult pregnancy, but nothing crazy. I had gestational diabetes, so that was annoying. And just being pregnant isn't very fun. At least not for me, it wasn't. So I had my baby. I was great for about 5 days, and after day 5, I just sunk into this extreme depression that just came out of absolutely nowhere. Just all of a sudden, one day to the next, I'm sitting in the nursery, trying to feed my baby, and the tears just started, and I don't know where they came from, but I couldn't stop them. And now looking back, I think it had a lot to do with the lack of sleep. That was the sleep deprivation, in addition to just kind of like the shock of it all. Like, you think you're ready, but not until you have this baby there, this like little thing that's taking everything from you, and not giving anything back. Like, give me something, come on, and so it's not until there that you're like, wow, like this is it, like for the rest of my life, this little blob is my blob, and it's attached to me. I can't go to Walgreens and just leave the blob. The blob has to come with me with all the blob stuff. So like it was just very overwhelming. I thought, and I was ready, but I thought that I knew what it was going to be, and it was just so much harder. Plus, I was diagnosed with postpartum depression, and so I'm sure that my situation was different than other moms that didn't have that. But it's hard no matter what. And so add sleep deprivation, the shock of it, plus the hormones. Yeah. You go from hormones over here to hormones like way down here, and they just kind of fluctuate. Add all those together, and you just got a very, very intensely anxious and depressed mom. So it took me, and I dealt with it. And anytime I've ever had any sort of issue like that, I've never felt that way before. But anytime I've had some sort of a too much anxiety, I always go for help. Like, I'm not gonna, grin and bear it. Absolutely not. If there's a solution, I'm gonna get that solution as fast as I can. So, so I found an amazing therapist that specialized in that. I got medicine from my doctor, and it took about a year, maybe 2 years to really completely get back to normal. Honestly, it wasn't until she started kind of talking that I was like, oh, now she's giving me something, and I was like, now we can talk. Now we're cool, And so, it was very strange. Like, my whole life, I wanted this baby so much, and then when I got her, I was terrified of her. Yeah. I didn't not want her. I just was like, no, I don't want to be alone with her. It was just, I didn't know. I didn't trust myself. So we. Now I got the confidence that I needed. I'm a mom. I'm still a badass at work. In fact, I remember being on maternity leave and running up the stairs one time with vomit all over me and the baby, and thinking like, I used to be such a boss at work. And I just like pictured myself walking into court with my suit, and like, I'm the prosecutor, I'm the chief, and now here I am with vomit all over and like this little thing bossing me around. I was like, oh my God. So like, so then later, one of my friends who actually did the same thing, he was a prosecutor and he became a defense attorney, and he's a defense attorney now here in Austin as well. We met in Laredo. He was a prosecutor there. He's here now, and he had been trying to get me to go defense for a long time. Not to go with him, but just like, you got to do it. You got to do it. There's just so much more. There's just so much more, And so I just didn't feel ready. And then just like the beginning of 2022, I was like, okay, I'm ready. And so I used the entire year to learn about, one, how to own a business. Yeah. they don't teach you that in law school.
Yeah.
They just teach you how to be a lawyer. It's kind of like in high school, they don't teach you how to do your taxes or like the important stuff. Yeah, they don't teach you that stuff in law school. Like they assume that you're just going to go work for somebody else.
Yeah.
So I had to learn that the business of law itself, how to get clients, how to run a firm, how to divide work out and things like that. And then also I had to learn the defense side of things, and not how to talk to people, because as a prosecutor, I talked to a lot of lawyers, but I didn't talk to the community, and so for me, my cases, I have to admit that they were black and white. They were on paper. Very rarely would I see the person, or maybe I would see them quickly in court, but not really register, oh, that's the same person, So all of a sudden it's like, oh, wow, now I have to really connect with people and be able to learn to talk to people that aren't lawyers, that don't, know all the acronyms and all that. So that I felt like I needed to work on that. And then just the confidence, and the confidence in knowing that I can do it, and the confidence in knowing that for the first year is going to be hard. Yeah. It's going to be hard. I'm leaving a, well-paid government job with a lot of benefits, with a lot of power, honestly. And I'm starting from scratch, So the first time I didn't get a paycheck, like after I quit, that was rough. I was like, oh my God, what did I do? What did I do?
That's so scary to do.
It was. I had my husband, who was amazing, and I had my family support me too. So I knew, fortunately, I never felt like I was going to be out on the streets, but it was still like, oh my God, what did I just do? What did I just do? And so, but I was like, nope, I mean, it's already done. I got to do it now. And actually, after I quit the prosecutor's office in mid-December of 2022. And I started my firm in January of 23. And in between that time, it was like Christmas time, my husband and I took a cruise, just the two of us. And I remember, honestly, in that cruise, I might have cried the entire time. It was just like the most cathartic thing. Like, it was just like nerves and the fear and regret and like excitement. And it was just, my husband was like, who are you? Like, you are no fun.
That reminds me. That kind of reminds me of that scene in Tangled. I love Disney movies. Tangled, where the girl finally gets out of the tower, or Rapunzel, and then she's like running around and just like crying and happy and rolling around in the grass and then crying again. So I can imagine.
It was just like a lot. And so we came back, and then I think I got it all out there, but I still have my moments of, oh my God, what am I doing?
Yeah.
But I just have to remind myself that every hard thing I've ever done, much harder than even what I'm doing now, I've done, and I didn't think I could do. And so I came back, I opened my business, opened my practice, used all the things that I learned in being a prosecutor, and in that year before, I read, it was audiobook after audiobook on different aspects of how to have a law firm.
Yeah. So what kind of got you into like the DWI like specialty? And I know that there's like a mission that you have in like teaching the Hispanic community and all that. Can you tell us more also about that?
Absolutely. And I can't say I'm officially specialized in DWI, that legally I cannot say that, but I do have a lot of experience in DWI. Okay. How about that? What got me into DWI was being a prosecutor for misdemeanor prosecutor for 9 years. And most of our cases, I would say about 90% of my world revolved around DWIs. And so, there's so many different types of DWIs, and there's the ones with the drugs, and then the ones with no drugs, and then if they draw the blood, if they blow, there's so many issues that revolve around it. And so I was able to see pretty much every single kind of DWI case that exists. I was able to go to trial on many different kinds of cases. As lead attorney, I probably had more than 50 trials myself, but then I sat second chair a lot when I was a chief. And so I have more experience. And so, so why did the question, sorry, I lost track of the question. I keep losing track of the question. I just talked.
So kind of what got you into the DWI?
DWI, yes. Okay, there we go. So when I transitioned, I knew that I needed to use DWI. That was my thing. Many defense attorneys, I would say most defense attorneys, are really into trying felonies, the ugly cases. And I can do that too. I did it last week, actually. However, I wanted to, there's very few defense attorneys that really want to focus on the misdemeanors. They want to do the big ones. I'm like, but sure, I'll do the big ones, but I'm really, really good at the little ones. So let's start with those, and then we'll, kind of grow and learn. So when I, and honestly, when I opened my firm, I didn't 100% think, oh, this is going to be a firm tailored to Hispanic people. It just kind of happened that way.
Yeah.
And I'm loving the direction that it's going. And so one of the things that I've noticed is that my Hispanic clients, or even the defendants that I prosecuted, the Hispanic ones always were extremely intoxicated, like for the most part. It wasn't just a little bit here and there. It was like, oh, how many beers? ¿Cuántas cervezas? Un 12, un 18. Like, whoa.
Which is I think the norm sometimes. Like, I know, like, with like family, they'll get home from work and then they'll just start drinking un seisito para la noche.
And that's a night. Like, for me, that would be the night, but for them it's just a Tuesday, but so then they go out to the clubs and they have like 20 beers or 25 beers, and then the whole machismo thing of not wanting to admit that you're too drunk to drive home.
That's what I was gonna say, because I remember when we met you at the event, how we were talking about the machismo. That's something that unfortunately I see a lot in my family. That like they cannot admit, like, oh, I'm too drunk, I need to give my keys to someone else, or I need to leave my car here and just Uber. No saben eso.
No saben. Y aparte, let's say that they meet a girl at the bar. They're not going to be like, oh, I can't drive. Like, I know, yo puedo manejar, yo soy hombre. Or no matter what, a lot of times, even just like after a 6-pack on a Tuesday, that like, it doesn't have to be after a party.
Yeah.
It's anytime.
Voy a la tienda a comprar tortillas.
Sí. So exactly. So it doesn't have to be after the club, after on Saturday night. DWIs happen all the time. And so then I started looking at statistics, and I noticed that Hispanics have the highest rate of DWI deaths in the nation, in the United States.
Wow.
Plus, we also have the highest rate of binge drinking in the nation.
I can see that.
I can see that.
Yeah. So put those two together, that's a really bad combination. And so what really made me want to start educating the Hispanic community, it started there, and then it continued because a lot of my clients are undocumented, and there's a horrible thing in immigration where if you're undocumented and you get arrested for anything, you're very, very likely going to be held by immigration. So you stay in jail till you finish your criminal case, and then after that, immigration comes in and takes you to their jail, basically.
Wow.
And that could be, it could take 10 days. It could be, 20 years. You serve your criminal sentence and then you go to immigration, So the thing is, you can't get out on bond. They'll give you a bond, but if you pay the bond, you're just going to go straight to immigration with a pending charge, which you don't want to do. So they're stuck in there. And so many of them, especially the males, they would tell me, like, I don't understand. Like, in my country, I don't understand. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't crash. There was nothing happened. I don't understand why I'm here, why they won't let me out, why they want all this time served, why they want to kick me out of the country. And so it's like, oh, okay, like there's there's something to teach here. Plus, so many of them would say, I'm the breadwinner. How is my family going to survive? I pay for my wife, I pay for my kids, I send money back home to my parents and my family. I am the sole provider. And it would just be really hard for me to leave there thinking, like, oh my God, like, this could have been avoided so easily. And so basically our theme in my law firm is we have this thing called, our slogan is, que siga la fiesta, pero solo sin tragedias. Party all you want. Absolutely. We love to party. I love to party. Not anymore because I'm a mom, but I used to love to party, and nobody's saying not to. If you want to go and do whatever you want to do, that's on you, However, don't put everybody else's life, in danger. It's just such a selfish thing to do. Because you don't want to spend $20 or $40 on an Uber, you're going to drive home. It's going to cost you a lot more later if you get in trouble. So that's how it started. I was just like, I need to really teach, the Hispanic people, the ones from here and the immigrants, that, you can't do this here. And there are more consequences for you than for anybody else. And unfortunately, we have to see, life as it is. We have to see reality. And us Hispanics, we have to behave better. We just have to follow the laws even better, because we have much more severe penalties if we are, caught breaking the law.
Exactly. And it's crazy because I feel like when you were talking about our Hispanic community, a lot of them are not like educated with law. They're like how you said, they already see themselves cuffed up and like in the back of seat of the cop, and then they're like, que hice? Like, now I fucked up, or like I messed up, like, all of these things. And I feel like a lot of times when you were talking about like laws and knowing your rights and stuff, a lot of people don't know that.
No. Yeah.
And they do like reaccionan o dicen cosas que a lo mejor no deberían de haber dicho por el miedo.
They try to explain why they didn't do what they did, and that never works. Do not. Yeah, I always tell my clients, do not talk. I don't care if you're trying to tell them that you're innocent, whatever. Don't do it. Yeah. I will do that. Okay. Talk to me. I will talk about your innocence, not you.
Yeah. So let's say I go to Handel's party tonight and I'm like, I want to drink a little bit. How many drinks should I be okay with driving home or not? And if I do get stopped by someone, how should I even handle that situation?
Okay, well, the first question about the how many drinks, it all depends on your body. If you're a female, what you weigh, how much you've eaten that night, how much you've drank when you stopped drinking. Some people take a shot before leaving. Some people drink and don't stop for 2 hours, and then they drive. So there's a lot of factors. But you're a small girl, I would say like no more than 2 drinks, because after that, you're definitely getting into the DWI zone.
Yeah.
Men can handle a little bit more, but I'm not talking about a lot more. I mean, I'm saying 3, maybe 4 drinks if you're a big guy and you're fine, you know? The important thing also is that just because you feel fine doesn't mean you are fine.
Yeah.
And doesn't mean the law is going to care whether you feel fine.
Yeah.
Some people say, I drive better when I'm drunk. Okay, fine. But the law doesn't care. Even if you were driving perfectly, the law does not care. You're over a 0.08, you're over 0.08. I don't care how good you looked.
Yeah.
And so that, and so a lot, and I see that a lot with the Hispanic clients, is that, yo manejo mejor borracho. No, yo mejor, tengo más cuidado.
¿Y cómo sabes?
¿Cómo sabes? Yeah, ¿cómo sabes? Es borracho, no sabes.
And I think that's like also with Hispanic community, they see it as a joke también. Like, como que miran, manejo bien.
Sí.
O lo hice la otra vez, lo voy a hacer otra vez.
Yeah, like a challenge. Yeah, and it's just like, you are just, every time you get behind that wheel after having too many drinks, having 3, 4 drinks even, you are putting everybody's life in danger, the entire community, the moms with their kids that are going to get ice cream, the grandma that's driving home from church, you're putting every single person in danger. Plus you're putting yourself and your family in danger. Whether if they're in the car, obviously they're in physical danger, but if they're not in the car, you're putting them in danger of losing their breadwinner. And they're going to be stuck in an apartment that they cannot afford, and in a country that they don't speak the language, and dad is in jail because he didn't take an Uber. Also, I've noticed that with Hispanics, another thing is that we have a lot of mistrust of like Uber and Lyft and kind of things. I'm not going to get into the car with a stranger. Yeah. And so I just want to spread the word that it's totally safe. I mean, obviously there's always the bad things that happen, which can happen anywhere. But I mean, I know that as Hispanics, we've never had a problem getting into taxis, and so it's kind of the same thing. They're regulated. There's a company. It's not just some guy saying, hey, I'll go pick you up. What car you're getting into, the person's name, what they look like, and so that's something that I want to spread too, is that it's safe. Like, it's so much safer.
Yeah, or ask, or like even just have someone that you can call to come pick you up.
Sometimes people have really cool wives and girlfriends or moms, and they'll go pick you up, and leave your car. The most important thing is to plan ahead. Obviously, if you know you're going to party, plan ahead. If you're going to go downtown to party, don't take your car downtown. That's just asking for DWI. So many people are like, oh, I'm not going to drink that much. Yes, you will. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And so the important thing is to plan. However, obviously many times you don't plan in situations where like, I'm not going to drink that much, but you do. Leave your car.
Yeah.
You leave your car. If your car gets towed, it gets towed.
Yeah.
You'll get it the next day. You'll pay, it'll cost you a couple $100 to get it out, but you're home safe, no DWI.
Yeah.
And more likely than not, your car is going to be right there where you parked it the next day.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done that many times in my youth, leaving my car. I've never had my car towed. You know, it's always there, like in the parking lot where I left it all by itself. And so that's the same thing. And so, you know, the consequences of, oh, they're going to take my car. Do you realize that the alternative is it doesn't even compare.
Yeah. I think it's just so easy for people to just not go there because maybe they've done it several times. But in the instance of someone getting stopped while they, you know, maybe they had 3 drinks, and we're not encouraging drinking and driving, guys, just a disclaimer. It's just like the safety part of it. But let's say that someone does drink like 3 drinks and they get stopped, and like, what are their rights? Do they have to blow into the little thingy to check their alcohol levels and stuff?
So no, the short answer for that is no. And yeah, same here. I really am against DWIs. However, if as a defense attorney, if you are stopped, I have to explain the rights, and you know, people do have rights. So when you get stopped by an officer, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to come to your window and they're going to ask you where you've been, where you're going, ask you for your license, and in that moment, they're assessing you as to whether they think that you may be intoxicated. They're smelling your breath. That's a big one. The smell of alcohol. And just what you're saying, oh, I'm coming from the club, or a lot of times, especially Hispanics, have their beer in the console, you know, and so that's when the officer's kind of like, there's something fishy about this guy. Maybe he's not falling down drunk, but there's something. And so the officer says, all right, step out of the car. We're going to do a DWI investigation. And what that means is if there is no pass or fail, but you know, just to make it easy, let's say if you fail the DWI investigation, you're going to jail. If you pass it, you're going to get back in your car and go home, right? It does happen. It does happen, because I've had many trials where I asked the officer, like, officer, have you had DWI investigations where you let the person go? Yes. And the reason I asked that is because he arrested this guy. So that means he let other people go when they weren't drunk, but he thought this guy was drunk. And that's what I would say as a prosecutor. But yeah, so I don't even know where I was going again. Again, I lost my train of thought.
Oh, I asked, like, what are the rights if someone
gets stopped? So you get out of the car and they're going to ask you a bunch of questions, more questions. Where have you been? What did you eat? When was the last time you ate? Because that makes a big difference. If you've eaten a big meal, if you haven't eaten, I mean, I'm sure we all know that if you don't eat, you're going to get way drunker way faster. And so they ask you these questions, and then they ask you if you're sick or injured. They ask you if you're sick. They ask you if you can see out of both eyes. They want to make sure that you're qualified to take these tests, and it wouldn't be unfair for you to ask you to, you know, walk a line if you have a knee brace or something, you know. And so then they're going to do 3 different sobriety tests. They're going to do the horizontal gaze nystagmus test, which is going to be, usually they use a pen or like a little stylus. They call it with a little light. And you look at the officer, and the officer is going to hold this pen, and they're going to go back and forth, side to side. There's 3 different things they're looking for. So it's a longish test. And you are only allowed to move your eyes. You're not supposed to move your head. You're just back and forth like that. And what the police is looking for is that your eyes, they shake when you're intoxicated. And the more intoxicated you are, the more they shake. And so, and that's something that even if you have a really high tolerance, you've been drinking forever, you're an alcoholic, you know, their eyes don't lie. The eyes don't lie. You may be able to walk the line, you may be able to talk well, but the eyes are always going to give it away. And so that's the first one that they do. After that, they do what's called the walk and turn, and that's the one where you're going to walk the line, 9 steps forward, 9 steps back, heel to toe. You know, don't stop once you've started. You have to turn exactly how the officer shows you. And there's a bunch of clues. There's 8 clues actually that they're looking for on that. You know, you have to keep your hands by your side. You have to look down at your foot. I mean, there's just a lot of rules. And if you miss any of those rules, those are check marks, you know, for intoxication. So that's that. Then after that, there is the one leg stand, which is where you stand up and you pick up one leg. and you have to pick it up 6 inches from the ground, look at your foot, and count out loud, and till the officer tells you to stop. Usually till around 30, if you get that far.
I don't know that I can do any of those as sober.
And imagine doing it on the side of the road, super nervous.
Yeah.
So it's not just like right now. If we did it, we would be bad at it. But
I mean, I'll do it just like standing. I have
terrible balance.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure like when the
and you're not supposed to put your hands up. That's a sign of intoxication. If you put your hands up,
you see,
I'm already like shaking.
And you can have your leg.
Oh snap! That's even harder.
You're already
you gotta look at your foot. Yeah, I mean, and they'll tell you that while they're doing the test. Like if you're not doing something, they'll look at your foot, and so it kind of messes you up. You know? They'll be like, oh, you're not looking at your foot. Look at your foot. And so it's just like, oh man, I was doing so well, and then you got me. So that's the third one, and then at that point, the officer will decide whether or not he or she believes that there is enough evidence to arrest you for DWI.
And people have to do that.
Like they do not have to do that. No, they do not have to do that. Now, if the officer, when somebody's pretty drunk, it's pretty obvious. You know, it's not something that you need a walk and turn test for many people. So if the officer sees you and you refuse to take the field sobriety test, which you absolutely can, it's your right. It's kind of like part of your right to remain silent. You know, you don't have to. You're giving them evidence, is what you're doing. And so you can say no. I always say be very respectful. Say, officer, with all due respect, I've heard that I'm never supposed to do this, so I respectfully decline. You know, if you get aggressive, you start being a smartass, it's not gonna go well for you. You know, but if you're respectful, you know, they may think, oh, there's nothing I can do with this person, and let them go. But many times they're still going to arrest them because it's obvious that they're intoxicated, and maybe they're not going to win in court because there's not as much evidence against them because they didn't do the field sobriety test. At least they're off the streets, you know? And so that's what happens. After you get arrested, then you're asked if you want to give a sample of your breath or blood. You are asked on the street if you want to give a sample of your breath. You don't have to give a sample of your breath on the street, but even if you do, that sample is not admissible in court, all sorts of legal reasons, but that one doesn't count, but you might be asked to do that. They're looking to see if there's alcohol in your body. Anyway, so you get to the jail and they're going to read you this whole thing about, you know, your license and your rights, and most people don't even listen to that, you know, and they ask you at the end, do you want to give a breath or blood? And, you know, if you say breath, absolutely, you go into the jail and you blow into a machine. There's a whole process about it. Or if you say blood, you know, there's a sanitized room in the jail with an actual nurse or EMT that's going to be drawing your blood professionally and everything. But you can also say no. And, you know, if you say no, that's less evidence that the prosecution is going to have. Of course, the officer can always, if they choose to, or maybe if it's like a no refusal weekend, like Halloween, what it means, no refusal, what that means is you're not allowed, that if you refuse to voluntarily give your breath or blood, the officers can go apply for a warrant to search your body, a search warrant for your blood. So that means that basically, even if you still fight it, they will tie you down. And they will get that blood.
That's what it means. I always used to see that like Halloween, like big events. I would see that like New Year's.
Yeah, I mean they can't force you to do the field sobriety test, but they can force you to take your blood.
Yeah,
you know, and so that happens, and yeah, especially on the big weekends like ACL is happening right now, or you know, Christmas, Halloween, July 4th, all those are like your blood's gonna get drawn. You know? However, and this is, again, I hate DWIs and I hope nobody does them, but legally I must say that if you say no and the officer goes to get the warrant to draw your blood concentration is very, very likely going down, because it takes the officer has to write up the warrant, they have to go talk to the judge, they have to get the judge to sign, they have to come back, they have to wait your turn to get into the room to draw your blood, and all of that time your blood alcohol concentration is going down. So, you know, even if they do get your blood, it's probably going to be lower than it was when you were driving, which, you know, for a defense-minded person, that's good.
Yeah. My mind kind of went to like, what about those like Spanish-speaking clients that don't understand English? Like, what happens when they get stopped by an English speaking officer? Do they get like a bilingual officer, or like how do they?
The first thing that they'll do is they'll try to find a bilingual officer, and many times it's not even someone that's like fluent or native. It's just some guy that one of the officers that speaks Spanish, but not very well, but he speaks Spanish, and so they do it like that. So many things get lost in translation when it's a foreign language, Spanish or any other language, because the instructions that you're given are so technical that it's so easy to not turn the right way or not understand that you have to do 9 steps forward and 9 steps back. And the officers, unfortunately, they will use that as a sign of intoxication. Like, oh, he didn't do 9 steps. Like, he didn't understand you. That's why he didn't do 9 steps.
Or even to like be able to say like, you have to do it exactly like this.
Exactly. That's exactly. Yeah. If you don't do it exactly like the way they want, you're gonna quote unquote fail. But you might not understand what exactly you're supposed to do. So yes, and I've seen cases where they can't find a Spanish speaker, and they just kind of figure it out. And of course the prosecution is going to have more kind of sympathy with those people and be like, all right, that was very different than the person who speaks English and understands what they're saying, and they're going to take that into consideration. However, I always say you can beat the rap, but you can't beat the ride. If you're going to go to jail, you're going to go to jail. You're not going to convince the officer to not take you to jail by just talking. Like, you're going to jail. We can fight it then.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to resist. You're not going to get away.
Yeah.
You're not. If you do for some reason, they're going to catch you, and it's going to be much worse.
Yeah.
So just go to jail. We can deal with it later, but just go willingly, go respectfully. Oh man. And the thing is, I had so many DWIs as a prosecutor where the person would be just obnoxious, and they would just be rude, and they're so drunk and like acting just entitled and, oh, do you know who I am kind of thing. And it's like, that you think it's helping you, but it's not only pissing the officer off, it's pissing the prosecutor off.
Yeah.
Wow. So many good things.
I know.
I'm just like, what?
Yeah, like,
I didn't
guys,
know that.
just don't drink and drive. You could avoid all this by not drinking and driving.
It's just so easy. I mean, if you have the money to go to a bar and pay for drinks, you have the money for an Uber. And if you don't, then don't do it.
Then don't go out.
Then don't go out. Drink at home.
Drink at home. Get wasted at home.
Go somewhere within walking distance. But if you're going to go downtown, you're going to go to the Domain, you're going to go wherever, to whatever bar, whatever party, but not even a bar. But if you know you're going someplace that requires, transportation other than walking, ask yourself, can I afford this?
Yeah.
Because if you can't afford that, you certainly cannot afford a DWI.
Yeah, that is true. Because and I saw one of your reels where you were talking about not only do you have to kind of hire an attorney to represent them for that crime or that misdemeanor, but if they do have like if they are undocumented, they would also have to hire another attorney that would be for that part.
Yeah, and there are some attorneys that do criminal and immigration, and more. I respect them a lot because that's very
a
hard.
Other monster.
Yeah, it's very hard. Immigration law is completely different than criminal law. And so I actually, when I first started in January, I thought, I'm going to do immigration. I'm going to kind of get into it. It's so, intertwined. And it was like, I can't start a business, learn how to be a defense attorney, and learn the entirety of the immigration system. Like, I can't do that at the same time. So I've been slowly learning it so that eventually, within a couple of years, I can start being what they call a crimigration attorney. Crimigration. But most criminal attorneys, most immigration attorneys are not both. And so what you need to do is you're going to have to hire, more likely than not, an immigration attorney to tell you what to do next. I can tell you the basics. Like, this is what's going to happen. You're going to be taken here. I know that if you plead guilty to this case, you're screwed, or I know you can't plead guilty to this, but you can plead guilty to this. This is better. I know the basics, but once you get to immigration, that's another monster. That's a different attorney that you're going to need. And you don't have the right to counsel in immigration hearing like you do in a criminal. In any criminal case that's class B or above, you have the right to have appointed counsel. Immigration, no appointed counsel. You have to pay for it. And a lot of times you may not even need to hire an immigration attorney. You may just need to, I refer them to some immigration attorneys that I know just for a consult. So they can say, like, is it worth fighting? you know, and they might say it's not worth fighting. When you get to immigration, just say that you want to voluntarily go home, and, you know, that way. So it doesn't necessarily mean you have to hire an attorney, but you certainly have to consult another attorney, because it's like going to, you know, a neurologist and asking him about your GI symptoms. You know, it's like, yeah, we learned that in law school, and like we, you know, but it's like, but I wouldn't want to defend me in immigration. You know, I don't feel comfortable. I would want to defend myself, you know, and criminal, but not if I was charged. Actually, that doesn't make sense. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So,
well, no, I was just gonna say that this is such great information, and I am so grateful that you joined us here today.
I know.
It was nice hearing from you, not only like your roots, tus raíces, todo, pero también like después de eso, like, you know, where you came from, but what you know now, and how like you were born and raised got you where you are today.
And I stumbled the whole way. I mean, my whole life has been just kind of like, I feel like I'm walking backwards a lot of times, you know, against the crowd. But the thing is, you cry, and you get feel sorry for yourself, and you get back up, because nobody else is going to get you up unless you get yourself up.
That is very true.
Do you want to ask our last question?
Yeah. Where our last question is just going to be, what advice do you have for first gen or any other listeners out there who are probably around the same path as you, but they're feeling stuck, where they're like, what do I do? Like, I want to be a criminal law attorney, but I don't know, like,
where to start.
Yeah. But what advice, just in general, do you have for them?
Something that my mother told me when I was young is that, you know, all astronauts come from somewhere. You know, they all come from some little small town in some, you know, some little state, you know, and so it's like, you can do whatever you want. You can be an astronaut, you can be a doctor, you can be a lawyer, you can be, because somebody's going to do it. And it's not going to be somebody that was raised, you know, in Los Angeles or New York. A lot of the time, it's going to be somebody from a little town that just really wanted to do what they want to do. And so that's my advice is, just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. You know, just do it. If you fail, that's fine. Part of being successful is failing. I failed so many times. You know, I went through like 3 different majors, so I figured out what I wanted to do, that I wanted to do theater, you know, and it was depressing, and it was frustrating, you know, when that happened, and disappointing. But, you know, like I said, cry it out. What's next? You don't have time to feel sorry for yourself, because feeling sorry for yourself that's not gonna help you. Saying I can't do it, saying I'm not good at this, that's not gonna do it. I actually have my stepdaughter who is trying to get into law school next year. She's about to graduate, and she's always had this thing in her mind that she's a bad test taker. She's a bad test taker, and the family even says, like, yeah, she's not very good at taking tests. You know, she's a bad test taker. And I tell her, I'm like, get that out of your mind right now, because that is not true. Like,
give her this.
Yeah, you can fix that. But if you go in there, you know, to take your LSAT, which is the exam to get into law school, thinking I'm a bad test taker, you're going to be a bad test taker.
Yeah, I've seen that your brain. I'm a therapist, so I love everything like neurobiology.
Yeah.
So I've heard that your brain hates to be wrong. It hates to be wrong. So if you're telling yourself, I'm nervous, I'm gonna suck at this, your brain is gonna be like, hell yeah, we're gonna suck at this, you know, because it hates to be wrong. So it's better to think something until you believe it. Because it'll eventually come true.
And sometimes you have to fake it till you make it.
And that's my biggest motto.
Fake it till you make it. And everything is scary. You're never going to go into something that's worthwhile to be a successful person and think, oh, this is easy. It's no big deal. Like, it is terrifying. I mean, just me going before a jury, it is terrifying, you know? But you have to do it.
There's one thing that I say to my family a lot. Like, esa negatividad. Like, whenever they say something, I'm like, well, if you say that, that's gonna happen.
Exactly. Like, the law of attraction.
I'm always like, yes, a negatividad, and they always make fun of me. Like, it's just like, well, it's true. Like, if you're constantly gonna be saying, oh, well, I'm not gonna be able to do it, and like right now, I'm also thinking about going back to school to get my my therapeutic license too, and be a therapist. So like, a part of me also is like thinking, oh, I don't know, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. So like, even myself, I'm like, I need to get that out of my head.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's so easy. I mean, like, just opening my law firm this past year, it could have been so easy for me to like, oh, this isn't working, or no, it's never going to work, or what did I do? You know, but instead, you know, I'm like, it has to get better. You know, I have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
I have the mentality the first year is not going to be great. And sometimes I have to remind myself, like, okay, it's the first year, calm down. you know. But instead, I've always had this mentality like, no, it's gonna be successful. Like, I'm gonna be successful. I'm gonna help the community. I'm gonna be able to achieve my dreams. I'm going to be able to provide for my family, and provide and help provide for my employees' families. And I just have this vision, and I'm like, I'm gonna get there.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
So where can our people find you?
Yes, so they can find me on my website, which is www.cardenaswittlaw.com. I'm also on Instagram as at Cardenas Witt Law, and on Facebook and TikTok at Abogada Tayrin. And I always do little reels of, just random tidbits about the law. Today we're going to talk about family violence and this, or today we're going to talk about drugs. And so we do that a lot. I also talk about cases that I'm doing without mentioning names, of course. I was in a trial last week, and, I kind of kept my viewers, I don't have that many viewers right now, but what I do, I kept them kind of updated as to what's going on. And so I remember when the jury went out to deliberate, they knew, what the charge was, and they knew that I believe my client was completely innocent. And I, just kind of said, all right, now we're here, we're waiting for the jury. And then, and then later I did a video like, he was acquitted, is not guilty. And so it was just, it was really excited, even though I would never ever, and I'm not even supposed to share names or faces of people without their permission. I can talk about, the experiences that I'm having. Like, oh, today I'm going to Williamson County, and I have this guy charged with a theft, and this is what they're saying he did, And so, so it's like advice, kind of just real life, every day of the life of me, a brand new defense attorney that's trying to save one Hispanic defendant at a time.
Yeah, I love
That's what I was telling Yesi the other day. I was like, I love her little reels that she does. I'm one of your viewers.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Thank you.
I'm one of your viewers, and hopefully our listeners are going to be one of your viewers too. But they're so cool because she's constantly just talking on her stories and everything. And I was telling Yesi about that the other day. I'm like, it's so cool how she's so into like the social media now, like it's like posting.
And the thing is, I don't do my social media. I have somebody do it for me. I actually have a part of our team. She's in marketing. My marketing team is based in Venezuela. So it's a lot less expensive, but she does everything. Like, I just do the video, I send it to her, and she does all the magic.
We need to look into that.
seriously, because I mean, and it's great because she like knows what to write. Like she gets it. She's not a lawyer at all, and she gets it, and she knows. So I just do the videos. She does everything else. Yeah, I don't do. So it's I wouldn't be able to do it otherwise. One, I'm not very good at social media, technology in general, not my thing. But two, I don't have time.
Yeah,
that is true.
Yeah.
Well, you're such a badass. You're a mom.
Oh, thank you.
Full time. You're a lawyer, attorney, full time. You're a wife, full time. You do a lot of things. And thank you so much for taking the time to come.
Absolutely.
I was just about to say that. I'm like, after all your busy schedules of being a mom and lawyer and everything, thank you so much.
I think it's very important to make time for myself, and I don't see this as work. I see this as fun. And so, like you have to know when to stop. And that's something that I'm learning right now is when to stop working.
It's a big one.
And not to work on the weekend if I don't absolutely have to.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, today I'm not going to work. I'm going to spend time with my kid, or I'm just going to rest. I'm going to do whatever I need. So even though I am a full-time mom, a full-time wife, and a full-time criminal defense attorney, I also am a full-time me. And none of those are going to work without me being at my best.
I love that.
We're going to quote it. Abogada Tayrin.
I love it.
Yeah. Again, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah. And anytime you guys want me back, I'm happy to come back.
Definitely.
I'm sure a year from now I'll have even more insights as to like,
yes.
A year later.
Maybe juicier.
Update. Now we have all these attorneys working for us. That we're famous.
Us too.
Yeah, exactly.
Manifesting it.
Exactly. That's what we have to do.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Follow her, everyone.
Yes, follow her. We'll put her website and her social media in her description.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my phone number for my office, which is answered 24/7, is 512-484-9389. That's answered even in the middle of the night because obviously as criminal attorneys, we get middle of the night jail calls. Yeah. So call us. Somebody will answer and somebody will help you, guide you through the process to get the person out of jail or help explain why they can't get out of jail, or just basically we can do as much hand holding as you want. If you don't want hand holding, cool, that's fine. If you want us to like literally like go with you and like do everything, we'll do that too.
Okay.
Well, guys, if you need any advice or any services, hopefully you don't. But
exactly, I hope nobody ever needs me. But if you do, or if you have a tío or primo or somebody like, oh, I remember that. You know?
Reach out to Tayrin and
and share this episode to all the drunkies in your life.
Yep. You might save some lives and save them a lot of money.
And also, don't drink and drive, guys.
Yeah, don't drink and drive.
Don't drink. Now the holidays are coming up. This is the drinking and driving season.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.